Hi folks, and welcome back to the allotment. It is so windy today. Have I mentioned how much I love this polytunnel? It is my favourite. It's just a cut above the greenhouse. I do get why people love them, you know, the scale, the ability to just kind of use it as a working space. I don't know, I just love it. The first thing I do whenever I come to the plot is just come and have a little sit in the tunnel. It's just perfect, you know. Big thanks to Steve. But yes, one of those nice relaxed days today. There's not too much to do, to be honest. I could probably be at home and I wouldn't be worried about the allotment, which is rare. Normally, if I'm at home and I've got time, I start to feel guilty if I'm not doing all the massive to-do things at the allotment. But we've got a bit of time. I got a bit of time off work this week, so it's just feeling really nice and relaxed. I just want to have a bit of a tidy up. I left the allotment in an absolute state after yesterday's chili harvest, kind of ran out of time, so lots of that. And then I want to talk for a little bit about the hot composter, because that's starting to get really exciting. And as well, where is it? I have brought up 1 or 2 garlic bulbs to plant. Now, garlic is one of those things that is almost like carrots for me in the kind of nemesis level. I've always had trouble. Garlic white rot. One of my first years growing, right, it was still like traumatizing thinking about it. I spent about 40 quid on garlic bulbs. They're so expensive, proper seed garlic. Maybe it was, I think it was actually like 20 pounds maybe, but when I think about it, it starts to get more and more, you know. I spent quite a lot of money on garlic bulbs and they all just rotted in the ground because of garlic white rot. And I've tried it a few times since, and kind of last year I did it in pots in the garden in troughs, and I got those like tiny little bulbs. A lot of those ones in that bag are ones that I grew last year that I kind of saved and thought, maybe I'll use those. So I'm gonna give it another go this year. It's just like a nice little thing, actually planting something at this time of year, because there's not too much to do. I was about to say, okay, let's start tidying up, and then I saw the seat and it was like, oh my God, I just love this chair. It's really comfy, and I just love this tunnel and spending time in it. But oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. Yesterday, funny story, I got trapped in the polytunnel. It's really windy again today, so I've propped the door open with bricks, but yesterday the door shut behind me and the drop spike fell down. So I was like completely trapped. Today, I've got it propped open with a brick. But yeah, because the drop spike dropped into the soil there, I had to like push the door out and try and get my hand around and like lift it up. It was an absolute nightmare. I didn't panic or anything, it was fine. I got it done, but it did take a little while. But yes, despite that, I do still love the tunnel, and I've had a bit of an idea with the slabs. So I'm gonna have a bit of a rejig of that because I've ordered the timber, and I think you'll see in time, but there's just loads of stuff. So I want to collect all of the kind of spent compost together. I've got buckets and buckets all in different places around the allotment. I'm going to get rid of a load of the chilies like these, where I've cut these back in the last episode, keep the soil, put the labels to one side. And another question I get all the time, do I ever overwinter my chili peppers? You can keep them. They're not always an annual, but in this country I find it's just so much easier. Oh my goodness. Wasn't joking when I said it was windy. Camera nearly just took a tumble. But yeah, if you do cut them back and then just keep them somewhere frost-free, there's a chance they'll survive the winter. If you keep them somewhere warm, they'll definitely survive the winter. But when they come back next year, I find that they can be a little bit funny. They start fruiting at weird times. They kind of have strange growth patterns. You know, they get a bit confused when it starts to warm up in spring. Sometimes they think it's summer, then it gets cold again, and they kind of go into shock, that kind of stuff. I just find it's easier to grow it from seed, and you tend to get a bigger harvest from ones that you grow from seed, although I didn't have a great harvest this year. If you missed that video, it's up here somewhere. Tell you what folks, the wind is absolutely violent today. Right, this is looking much cleaner and tidier. Loads of spent compost, and there's a trough there. You can just see it at the front. And I was planning on putting the garlic in that. I'm hoping I've got some other troughs lying around. I'm not sure if I do, actually, but there's a couple of little potatoes in there and they were looking really sad outside, but they're maybe starting to bounce back in the tunnel now. So you never know, do you? There might be some Christmas spuds in there. So I don't want to dig those up and plant the garlic in there, just in case. It would be a shame if I didn't. I did really want to do Christmas spuds this year. I've got plenty of undercover growing space, haven't I? But one of those things kind of fell by the wayside. Kind of forgot about it. I thought I'd have a bit more green material, but there's some stuff here to go in the hot composter. And one of the issues with the hot composter, I'll show you. Let's have a little look. It's that it is in here really quite wet. I'll get in here and show you properly. I've been neglecting the browns, so I just put a few bits in here to start it off. I had some woody stuff at the bottom and a little bit of wood chip as well to potentially absorb any moisture. Then I put a bag of horse manure in just to try and get some heat in there with the wood chip as well. I thought maybe that would start to generate heat, and then I bunged a load of greens on top, and you can see the moisture has kind of collected all around the outside. So just yesterday I put a load of newspaper in, which is fine to use. I double checked with Steve used to work in printing actually, and he said using newspaper was just fine. But what I have been surprised at is that it is actually shockingly really warm already. It's only about 30 degrees on the thermometer, which is kind of built in. But the first time I lifted it after a few weeks, I was really shocked that it was already building up heat. So I'm gonna get the kind of pepper stuff loaded into here, and hopefully that will get it going a little bit more. It's really starting to rain, so I think I'm gonna have to hide the camera. Oh yeah, it's coming down, because my camera is not even slightly waterproof. The weather, it's bloody horrible. It's really kind of like rain is stopping play today, you know. It's a bit annoying. There's another bit that I wanted to show you outside between the greenhouses. I've done a little bit of work and I was planning on wood chipping it, but it really is quite grim. Let's go and have a quick look. I think the rain has stopped for a second. Oh God, it's horrible. Quick. So, yes, I've emptied this water butt and I'm finally gonna move this. You can see there were slabs in between here, and I've taken all those up, laid some membrane that I'm gonna just chuck a load of wood chip on. That was actually a comment suggestion. I'm really sorry, I can't remember who suggested it, but they said surely you can use the slabs better somewhere else and just put the membrane down here. And I think they were right. So I've just emptied this the other day, and now there's a few more slabs here which I can use as the foundation kind of base for the shed. So I've put them to one side over there for when I rebuild the shed. And then I can just wood chip this, sort out my water butt. So I've taken the top off this blue one now, so that can have a feed in from there. And when I redo the base, basically this is a big issue. The base kind of comes out too far. But when that is redone, hopefully, he says, oh God, yeah, that should be okay. Those two can fit together. And I know it's a bit counterintuitive having the water butts at the back. A lot of people say have them at the front for, you know, easier watering. Oh, don't fall. That was really silly. But if I was going to do that, I should have put these two greenhouses much further apart. Where they are at the moment, if I have two water butts at the front, it just creates a dead space, you know. So I'd rather have them at the back and then have a bit of storage or just something that I can kind of get past easily to just dunk the watering can in. I think that makes most sense for me. And yeah, the other thing I need to do, of course, is pop some holes in this membrane just so the water can drain through. But it's chucking it down, so that's probably not a job for today now. Now that rain has pretty much stopped play, it's kind of off and on, but it does make it a bit difficult with the camera. I think I should get this garlic in. Now, these are very deep, and that's a lot of compost for garlic. I don't know, maybe I'll just kind of, I don't want it to block the light too much. I think what I can probably do is take a load out of that. Maybe, JB, you should have a little think before you just start talking on camera. Right, okay, so first thing to do really is to split a load of these cloves. Now, I watched one of Jessie at Plot 37's videos recently about garlic. That's kind of what reminded me and inspired me to do a bit of this. And she was saying that she quite likes buying seed garlic, and generally it's a good idea because a lot of the garlic that you buy in the supermarket, which this was grown from, kind of comes from abroad and is not going to be suited to our growing conditions. Now, the stuff that I grew wasn't amazing, but it was decent enough. And the fact that this has now been grown in the UK, I don't know if it happens that quick, but at least I know that this stuff is somewhat not habituated is the wrong word, but I know that it can grow in this country. And the fact that this very clove was grown in this country, I don't know how many generations it needs until it actually changes the characteristics of the plant. But I figure we're moving in the right direction, you know, and this is probably way too much soil, but I figure it's half spent. I'm gonna basically mix this up a little bit, oh God, the wind. Mix this up a little bit, get some fertilizer in there, some blood, fish and bone, take it off a little bit, so it probably comes to about here, and then maybe plant 6 or 7 in each one of these, and it's just sort of like, why not? You know, I've got this loads of empty space in the tunnel over winter. I might as well give it a go, eh? I do have quite a lot here. 5, let's say there's 5 on each one, 5. That's about 35. Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I should say as well, I am aware that this is not the ideal time to be planting garlic. You really want to get it in sort of before the weather turns for winter, or get it in spring. This is very late winter going, but it is still quite mild. So we've got a few weeks where I think the lowest temperature down south is about 5 or 6 degrees, and it's still plenty mild in the daytime. In the tunnel, it's probably around 13, 15 degrees, that kind of temperature. So I think they've still got a chance, haven't they? And I also know that these tubs are not ideal. They're a bit more of a shallower rooting plant, aren't they, garlic? So I'm hoping with the extra depth in here, they won't compete horizontally too much and they'll go down. It's a bit of an experiment, we'll see, we'll see. It's all been used up pretty nicely. I've got 7 cloves in each of these, which it might be too many, but I don't know, it felt kind of right. I've got sort of 3 there. You can just about see the depressions. 3 around there, and then just 1 in the middle. And I feel like that shouldn't be too bad. This is the potato in the trough that I was talking about earlier. And there's one just here that I've kind of buried a little bit deliberately because it was in a bit of a depression. But yeah, I don't know, it's worth a go, isn't it? And there's not going to be anything else on this matting over winter. And this is kind of the whole point. I've put this in now. It's a nice weed membrane. I might as well. What I was thinking with these is if I kind of shift this all the way along a little bit, then I can just have one straight bit of wood down here for the bed. Although then that will, oh no. Okay, well, you know, I can deal with that at some point. I was imagining that the raised bed would be next to the slabs themselves, but actually I think it makes more sense to have it on this line, because then it meets the door, because otherwise, see where this brick is, it's sort of in the way of the door. I think it probably, oh, does it? Oh, yeah, it probably does make sense to start the raised bed in there. I'm just having a little bit of a think, really, aren't I, to myself? It's a real shame that the rain has stopped play today, but the tunnel is looking so much nicer. We've got some garlic. We've actually planted something. That must be the first thing I've planted on the channel in months, literally months, surely. I don't think I've sown a seed in months, and it's just been all about building the tunnel and taking care of the chili peppers, and we're kind of moving on a little bit to the next thing. I might start now. Am I gonna? No, I'm feeling pretty pooped, to be honest. I'm not gonna start this now. But that is the next big job, when it's properly chucking it down. Start digging this over and getting it ready, getting loads of manure kind of mixed in, building it up, and of course building the raised bed as well. It's so grim today. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this one. An extra special thank you to my Chili Pepper Tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Mel, Michael, Denise, Socks in the Garden, The Rain, and Andrew. Hopefully I'll see you again in the next one.